Precious Father, in your wonderful name, Jesus, God, we love you so much. Thank you for bringing us to October the 6th, 2017. Down through the months, you have been so good to us. God, thank you for your grace. Thank you for your mercy. God, I pray for everyone that's here on tonight, your wonderful, beautiful people that's fearfully and wonderfully made, hand designed by you with brilliant minds. Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing each person to walk in here, God. God, we thank you for health and we thank you for strength. God, I ask that you touch the inner man on tonight. God, I ask that you stir up the feelings. Help us to deal with our feelings. God, the childhood trauma, God, bring it to the front and let it be released on tonight, God. God, anger and mental, any type of mental distress and depression, God, allow it to just release here on tonight as only you can do. We trust in you. We honor you. We thank you. We love you. We adore you. Thank you for being in this house at this time. Thank you for covering us from the crown of our heads throughout our entire body. God, we ask that you would grant us wisdom, knowledge, understanding. Allow Cheryl and Addison to decrease as you increase. We thank you. We honor you. We love you. We adore you. We bow down before you. And we just pray this in your name, Jesus. Amen. Amen.
Come on, let's give the Lord a praise in this place. Hallelujah. God is good. Amen. Amen. Before you sit down, please greet before you sit down. Greet the people around. Hug them, shake hands with them, fist bump them, give them a high five. Amen. Share with them the people that are around. And it's good to be in your house and God is good. God is good. Amen. Well, thank you for coming and being out with session number 1 of the Marriage Tuneup. And we hope that you will get what you can come forward. And matter of fact, even more. We are honored to stand in the presence of the Lord, but also to be with you. Throughout this night, we just pray that God will help you, to enhance you, to enrich you, so that you can move forward, so that you can be the vessels of honor, whether it's in your relationship or just with yourself. And we just praise God again for you coming here. This is Dr. Cheryl Hardy. I'm going to refer to her as Dr. White. She and I have been married for 38 years. 3 months and 13 days. But we also known each other for 4 years prior to that. And we've made mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes. And through this, we hope that you can get something out of all of this. A couple of ground rules that we have is that we want to respect each other. If somebody says something you may not like or may not appreciate, amen. We don't want to be a burden on anyone. We're here to help. We're here to build up. And also, we ask that if possible, that we try to talk one at a time. I know we can do it. Amen. Our objectives for tonight is one, is to help us in communicating with our mate. There are different aspects of marriage, and we're going to talk about that. But our primary focus tonight will be on communication, improving our communication, understanding the miscommunications and what are the pitfalls in talking with each other, communicating with each other. Then we're going to talk about identifying barriers to good communication. We want to share some tools for you to help you to communicate better. A lot of times we say one thing and the other person don't receive or understand it because we're talking past each other. You know, you see one thing, but you think another thing.
Yes, yes. So we want to talk on that. I want you to talk to me as a couple. To me, not at me.
That's
right.
Right. Then we want to talk a little bit about finances and things as a group, as a couple, we should discuss in terms of our money. I have a background in finance. I've been in accounting for just a couple of days, maybe 40 years or something like that.
40 years.
So we want to talk about the things that we need to talk about in terms of our relationships. And the main thing that anytime a party is involved in something, we want you to have fun. This shouldn't be a burden. This shouldn't be a struggle. We want to have a good time. You took time out to come here, and we want you to receive something and learn from it, but also have a good time in doing it.
Okay, so I have here on this chart marriage tune-up. And do anybody know what tune-up is? What is a tune-up? What's it say?
Everything changed.
To get things changed and to get things in order, to renew, to revive, right? To get your car working right. And almost everybody can relate to a car. So, and then I have here, what's driving you in life? What's driving you? What's your goal as a couple? What's your personal goal? And then what's your goal as a couple? And then also, are you carrying stuff? And I have here, are you carrying junk in your trunk? So that means, are you carrying childhood situations? Did you bring a lot of stuff in your marriage? From childhood, teenagery, early 20s?
Also, is it possible that you're carrying stuff in your trunk that comes from a previous relationship? So that when I have an issue, I get a flashback to the person I used to be with. The other person doesn't know what's going on. But again, it's affecting our relationship.
So do you need a tune-up? Most of us do. Most of us need to be renewed. Now, some of you have seen this this exercise, so if you've seen it before, indulge me. Act like you've never seen it before. Just get excited about it. But I have this bag here. And a lot of times, this is what we bring to the table when we come into a marriage. We look real good on the outside. You see the designer bag, very expensive, our eyelashes, our weave, our makeup, and I love it all. I'm not talking about, you know, you bring it all, your lipstick, your makeup, he bring his game on, you bring your game on, and then you go to the altar.
And notice, this is a nice looking bag.
Amen.
But you don't know whether it's from Saks Fifth Avenue or Canal Street.
Right.
Okay? But again, the facade is there.
So as you continue on in your relationship, things start to happen, right? And then you start, could you hold this one? And then you start unzipping your bag. It's your bag. You're beautiful, fearfully and wonderfully made, looking good. You look good on Sundays. You look good in school. You look good at the office. And then things start to happening.
Let me just add, as she opens this up. Notice she's putting it on the table. And the question in our relationship initially up front is, what did we bring to the table?
Shop right never go wrong, right? All right. So then you have your shop right bag. And then you start bringing stuff, weight issues. So you talk about weight going up and down. And then your abuse, the abuse that you never shared, you carry from childhood. A lot of times people have been abused in childhood, and they bring that to the table. And then when the husband say, won't you do X, Y, Z? And then you start just freaking out. What are you telling me what to do? That's because, sorry about the noise. That's because You never really dealt with it. You never let it, thank you. All right? Knots in your stomach, anxiety. ShopRite never goes wrong. Oh, there's a lot of stuff in this bag, and that's what we do. We bring stuff, misunderstanding. You know, because no matter what culture you're from, you're bringing the culture from your family and the culture from his family, and then you're mixing it up together, and you bring it into one house. So his family, everybody might go to bed late, and her family, everybody go to bed early, and then you get together and you start arguing. A lot of times people come to counseling, and they sit there in counseling, and they start talking about washing the dishes for about 20 minutes. The dishes is not the problem. The problem is you're not coping with each other and learning how to deal with each other. So misunderstanding, being overwhelmed, depression, disappointment. You're stuck. You're not growing.
By the way, the young man who's wandering around with the camera is our oldest son.
Mental block. HIV. Sometimes people bring illness into the relationship, right? And they won't talk about it. Because you know, with the HIPAA rule, I was working at a center, and the husband was bringing the wife for treatment, and he thought it was cancer, but it was HIV. She never told him. So and we couldn't tell because of the HIPAA rule. So that's communication. You have to talk, right? Belittling each other, right? Betrayal. This is stuff that people really, this is a little bigger. This betrayal, attacking. Sometimes every time he or she come home, we attack each other. Why do we treat the boss and other people better than we treat our mate?
All right.
Does somebody help me out with that?
Maybe because you don't live with them.
Because you don't live with them?
You say the wall.
The boss.
Oh,
Why do people treat the boss, their co-worker? Because you know it's a lot of emotional connection going on at jobs, right? So why do people talk to other people better than they talk to their spouse?
Why do some people have at their job a husband, wife, or a job wife or a job husband?
Yeah, did you hear that? That's my work husband. That's my work wife. That is inappropriate. So sickness can come. Sickness can come at any time. Could you handle it? If your husband was to become disabled and you have to push him in a wheelchair, could you handle it? Could you? Would you? Some people say yes. Some people will say yes, and then when it actually comes, right? They want out because you're not able to. You know, because when you're at the altar, it's nice at the altar. Yeah. So when you're at the altar, it's exciting because it's new and it's brand new and you're loving each other. But then as this bag, I'm gonna take some more stuff out. I'm trying to hurry up because betrayal, ugly, acting ugly. This is what we bring at the altar. See. Him and her. His stuff, her stuff. That's what we bring. All right? This looks scary. Feeling boxed in. Carrying stuff on your back. All right? So some of them skip. But then when you get to know the real person, it doesn't look like this was in here, right? Tension, brutal, cage, and just downright mean. So these are some of the things that we carry with us. Thank you. So these are some of the things that we carry with us. We bring it with us everywhere we go. folks bring this to church. Sometimes you come into church and you say, why are certain people so rude? And guess what? They're bringing a whole lot of stuff with them. And then they don't know how to deal with it. So how can we learn how to help you all deal with issues of concerns on tonight?
So Dr. White has placed on the table a whole lot of what we consider negative things in reference to our relationships. The question I have for you is, what are some of the positive things about being together? What are some of the positive things that you get out of being with the person that you are with? Sister. Feel love. All right.
Support. Somebody got my back.
Some support. Somebody has your back. Somebody else.
Oh, correct me. Correct me. I'm wrong.
I feel like I got my best friend with me all the time.
You have your best friend with you.
Got
All
my
right.
back.
All right. You have your back. Okay. Somebody else. Good thing. Yes, sir. Trustworthy. Amen. Amen. Somebody else.
So let's talk about communication.
Okay.
How do you communicate? How many people have children? Okay. So, how many people, how do you, if you want to get something from your child, how do you speak to them? If you want your child to do something for you, what would you say? If you want them to go to the store for you and they are 19, they have their own car, and you want them to go to the store for you, how would you what would you say?
My mother would say, go to the store.
When you go to the store,
My mother said, go to the store.
go to the store. And what tone? How was the tone?
Just said it. We just did it.
It's nice. It's calm. Okay. All right.
Somebody said.
So do we really say that to your? Do you say that to your? You really say that? Okay. You don't say
I would
that.
say please.
You don't say please. You said would you go to the store?
I say please.
Yeah, please.
I say please.
Because that's one of the things that we miss out in communication is manners.
Yeah.
Sometimes we are so disrespectful to the people that's in our own space and place, right? I had to learn how not to say certain things to Addison when he came home when the children were small, because he worked 10, 12 hours a day. So when they was acting out in school, I dealt with it. I gave him space and I gave him time, and I would tell you, you know what happened yesterday? You're like, yeah, really? And I took care of it because I needed him to be okay I just needed him to come home and just hear all the stuff that was going on. He needed a break. And the reason why I felt like he needed a break is because when he's at work, he has to deal with the people at work. He has to deal with his boss. He has to deal with reports. He has to deal with things I just don't know because he won't tell me. So one of the things that I think is so important as females, because a 3-inch tongue can chop a 7-feet man down to like nothing. So we as females, we have to watch that tongue, because the tongue can kill a person's spirit forever. And how can we heal a broken heart? That's how divorces start. That's how separations start, because of a broken heart. So when a person comes to counseling, they don't say, I'm here for a broken heart. They start talking about the stuff that happens. So we have to be mindful how we treat each other and respect each other. And respect, if you're both working, you got to respect each other. That is so big. I hear that from, and I'm sharing that over and over, because in counseling over hundreds of couples, that's what I hear with a lot of guys. They said, I want you to talk to me and at me. So if you talk to a person, do you know, man, I used to say, Addison, you came on, hey, King, how you doing? He's like, all right. Right? But when I needed something, Addison, I need X, Y, Z, is it okay? He would look at me and say, why you ask me, is it okay? Just write the check out. That's communication. That is communication, because there's no back and forth, because he know I'm not going to waste the money. So it goes back to trusting, right? So this is what I just want to share with you. We have to communicate. Learn how to talk to a person and then have active listening. Wait. Don't cut the person off and say, well, and say what you're thinking before they finish talking. We have to let the person finish talking, right?
A lot of times, our body language also plays into the communication.
Like this.
Okay? So if I'm with her and I'm talking about something in particular, and she's saying to me that she is not listening to what I'm thinking that she's not listening to what I'm saying. She's preoccupied, or vice versa, me doing the same thing. Then that creates problems, because then what's being said is then being missed. There's a principle called timing. And that's something that you have to intricately understand within yourself. What is the best time to talk to each other? Now, I am more of a night person. My wife is more of a morning person. Because I come in late at night a lot of times, I go into the room and she may be half asleep, or
She'd be like, excuse me, can I get in the bed?
or she may be watching a particular show that I could care less to watch. All right, I have certain shows. I'm not a television person, so things that may not be comedy or sports is just I'm not concerned about it. But there are things that she watches that she learns a lot of things from. I could care less about. Okay, but again, if there's something I may want to say to her at night, many times that may not be the best time for me to say it to her, because again, she's more of a morning type person. In the morning time, I am trying to get the last minute in, and then when I get up, I'm going about doing stuff. So she's up there telling me, and one of the things my wife is good at doing is she wants to tell me about something, and it's on YouTube or somewhere like that. And she wants me to see it. So here she is, talking to me about something.
I want you to
And
see this.
I'm doing something
Look
over
at
here.
this. This is good.
And I'm doing over here.
This is really
You know,
good.
and I'm just over here. Okay. And then I'm over here. And then I'm fixing my lunch. I'm doing all these sort of things.
But you know what? Even when he get in the tub, I said, okay, now you in the tub. See it now,
She does that. All right. And then, many times again, we can give the impression that we're not listening. And many times we are listening, but the other person's body language is saying, you're not paying me any attention. And I'm talking to the men now. You haven't heard a word I said. Okay, I know y'all don't want to say anything, but I saw one nod over there, I see one there, I see another back there. All right, listen, men, wait a minute. Men, do me a favor. If I say something, all right, that you don't want to say yes to, just give me the brother nod. Just do like that. Yeah, we're good. All right. Okay. Then let me draw another scenario for you. There was a story about, matter of fact, read it to you. In terms of miscommunication, it's centered around dinner. And the spouse, the lady said, I expect dinner to be ready at 7 o'clock. Now, what she meant was she expected him to fix the dinner at 7 o'clock. What he heard was he needs to be at home at 7 o'clock to eat the dinner that she was going to fix. Okay? Again, what was being said and what was meant were two different things. So how do we bridge something like that? How do we make it so that we're more effective in what we're saying? Any suggestions? What could have been done better? And then, okay, so let's take it to a different level. The wife is expecting him to cook. He didn't cook. He's expecting her to be home. He needs to be home at 7 so that he can eat because she cooked. Basically, what happened? No food because nobody cooked. Based upon that, based upon the misconceptions, an argument breaks out. And we're going back and forth. How many of you have been in an argument with your friend, your spouse, your mate, over things after you look at it a little bit later on, and it was totally trivial, something small, something that could have been squashed. But again, many times our egos can get in the way. And one of the things that Dr. White said is how many times we're listening to what the person is saying to us, and we hear what the person is saying, but what we're doing is in our mind, we're formulating how we're going to get back at it, how we're going to have a comeback to it. I like what Elder Kenny Bryan said one time in a men's gathering. He said that men, we can't outthink women because they think faster than we do. They talk faster than we do. They use more words than we do. That's good, and it's not necessarily bad. But that's how we are wired. That's how we're made up, okay? So many times, a sister, a lady, can say a lot of words while we would say something in fewer words. Again, that's how we're wired. Let me talk another area. There are times, and I had to learn this early on in marriage, when Cheryl would talk to me about a frustration she may have had at the job with the children, whatever the case may be. But she's just talking to me. So give me a frustration of some sort.
I can't believe they want me to do this report I'm sorry. I can't believe they want me to do this report by by the 5th of the month, and they always ask for it by the 15th of the month. So, you want me to go on? So, that is new. They didn't even send out a memo. They just said everybody have their work done by the 5th. They didn't give us an explanation or anything. Don't they know that I have to go to different sites? And I have 3 sites. I have Irvington, Passaic, and Orange. And then I have the 46 social workers that I supervise, and each social worker have 45 children. So how do they expect me to have all this report done by the 5th when it's going to take me to at least the 9th to try to gather up all the information? By the time I talk to all the social workers and then we have our monthly meeting, they're going to be frustrated too.
Why don't you just go to your supervisor and suggest to them that maybe y'all should have a schedule or whatever the case may be?
That's not what they said. They sent out an email and said they want it by the 5th. And it's September 29th. They want everything done by the 5th. I can't believe they want everything done by the 5th. Do you believe that? Why you walking away?
I just gave you a suggestion on what you should do.
But you're not helping me. All I need you to do is...
What do you mean I'm not helping you? I am helping. I'm giving you a suggestion on what you should do.
Yeah, but that's not helping me. That's easy for you to say because you doing your report has to be in by the 5th.
I have a timetable. I mean, what can I say? We worked it out.
I'm stressing. I don't believe that.
Why you let these folks stress you out? All you have to do is
because
go to the...
I have to answer to them too, Addison. I have to answer to them. It just help pay the bills. Why you asking me? If I start acting out on them, then they're going to put me on probation and all that stuff. So
they don't have to go that far. All you have to do is go into the office, have a meeting with the supervisor and say, there's a better way of getting this done. What we just did was the difference in what she's saying and what I'm hearing. Because when she was saying all this to me, I heard her saying, I need help. So I moved into the man mode and said, I'm going to help you to fix it. What she was looking for was she was just venting. Okay? She just wants me to be on her side. She wants me to support her. I'm now getting frustrated saying, why are you telling me all this if you don't want me to help you?
And why you walking away? Why you getting upset? Now you acting like the people at work. You supposed to be my husband. Our husband, my wife. You supposed to be my husband. My wife. You supposed to help me.
Well, that's
And
Now
again,
you're not talking.
because what happens is she starts talking about certain things. Now I'm confused. Should I help or should I keep quiet? How do I support you? Do I go over here or do I stay here? Do I just sit here and say, oh, okay, yeah? Do I listen to what's going on? Okay, but again, it's getting to know each other. Getting to know each other. Because just like Dr. White was saying, we brought different things to the table.
So is there any questions or comments about what we just talked about now? Yes. Yes.
Elder?
Yeah. In that scenario, we in the situation, you're wired to fix.
Mm-hmm.
She's
right.
wired to listen.
Mm-hmm.
She needs you to listen at that. That wasn't a fix-it moment.
Right.
That was a listen to my stress, my pain. Give me some sympathy because this is what I need from you right now.
Right. Because I give the appearance that, just like you said, I'm like the folks at the job, okay? And I'm not there. I think Sister Green said being supportive.
Yeah.
Okay? So again, me as a man, I said, look, let me fix it.
Yeah. Yeah.
This could be handled in 2 minutes as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's go ahead and deal with it.
Okay, so the way we think and behave, it plays a big part in your life. So I have here cognitive behavior theory, the ABC model. All right. So when things happen in your life, is this on? Did I knock this off? Okay. When things happen, and you have your thinking. Thinking, sorry about my writing, feeling. Your thinking and feelings are very important, all right? So, this is the model, ABC. It's the activating event. We just talked about what happened. If it's an event, it stays in your mind. Because your brain is a recorder. Do everybody know your brain is a recorder?
Right.
You have your lower part and your high part. The lower part is always negative. The lower part always tell you, no, don't do it. I can't go. I can't do it. But if you push through the lower part and go to the higher part, you'll persevere. Oh, I can do it. Or so the lower part is negative and the higher part is positive. So the activating event, your brain is holding on to it. And whatever event that occurs, you go straight to the belief or the behavior. All right? So a situation happened. We talked about Addison didn't listen to me. We had this miscommunication going on. That's the event. The behavior is I'm upset that he didn't listen. So either he walked away or he was frustrated, right? And then the consequence is how we going to handle this situation. Okay? And so how are we going to handle the situation? So then I have to think about it, and I have to put my feelings in order. And so this is what we do all the time. Sometimes we get this all mixed up, all right? Because when you dealing with in life, we have to deal with this is how we go. Some of us have been holding feelings in for years.
Yes.
So we have been holding feelings. So here we go. You have to allow yourself to feel.
Right.
If you walk around and ignore your feelings, you're going to be uncomfortable. You're not going to know how to cope with life. You're going to be angry. A whole lot of stuff is going to happen, and because you're not dealing with the feeling. So these feelings are very important. Some people repress their feelings from childhood. All right, and a lot of people in here, you probably suffer from childhood trauma and don't even realize it. Then when something happens, you react and it just comes out. Sometimes 20 years or 30 years of situation will come out on your mate. So we have to learn how to work with our feelings. Then after you have your feelings, you allow them to come up, then you have to deal with it. And sometimes it takes a long time to handle your feelings. Then you feel it, you deal with that feeling. You sit with it. You have to cope with it. You have to work with it. And that, once you deal, that's when you heal. Healing does not take place until you allow yourself to feel, until you allow yourself to deal, and that's when you're healed.
No? Yes.
Me and my wife would deal with she had a situation.
She would bring her work home, and it start to affect our marriage in a way where she would just have to sit there and get on the type on the computer, do the work. Then she would cook, and then she said, "He was in the refrigerator yesterday," and that took away from like our quiet time when we sat down, ate, we talked, and we communicated. But when that started happening, started to get a little arguments and whatnot. So I said to her, "Honey, listen, don't bring your work home. Do your work on the job. What you don't get done that day, you do it tomorrow because it's sitting on your desk." So she thought about it and she did it, and everything came back to normal.
Okay, so now that's good. Now that works for his house, right? So we have to realize as our fingerprints are different, so is our household is different. So some of the things that worked for his house, but that won't work for our house because we both bring work home. I'm grading papers and he's doing work. So we set time to because at one point in time money was getting kind of tight. So we still wanted to go on our dates. But instead of us going on dinner dates, we would go on breakfast dates. Breakfast is $20 for two people. And we're together. So it's cheaper, but you're still together, and we still set time apart together. I mean, we set time to be together. So everybody's household is different. Even some of the things your parents did doesn't mean that you should bring it into your situation. Because everybody is different. Nobody is the same. And sometimes what our parents did wasn't always the right thing for our relationship. And as a couple, always remember, if you're a couple, we're the team. This is the team. My oldest son is on the outside of the team. I love him, but he's not a part of this team. He's a part of the family, but he's not a part of this team. So he just has suggestions and comments and all, and we listen to him because he's very intelligent. But at the end of the day, this is the team. It's Team Hardy. So what mom, dad, everybody else say, all you guys here, y'all on the outside of our team. We respect you. We're going to listen to you. We value your opinion. But when we go behind the closed doors and we make decisions about our house and our lives and our insurance and what we're going to do when we retire and college and debt, we the team.
Minister Tony.
So now in that scenario, Doctor, you and Elder Hardy both bring work home. So it's a little more easy to find a common ground. So now the scenario where you bring work home and he doesn't, and he's adamant about, spending that time with you. Like, how do you advise somebody to deal with that? You know what I mean? Because I guess, the one party doesn't bring work home. I understand you got work that has to come home, but they're adamant about, find some other way to leave your work at work.
And that's when we gotta talk. That's what we gotta do. We have to have a conversation. We have to have a conversation. So you don't want me to bring work home, but I'm bringing work home because I need certain things done at a certain time. So I'm bringing money into the house just like you bringing money into the house. So in order for us to be happy campers, somebody is going to have to give, right? So we need to have a conversation about it. So maybe I won't spend a lot more time in the house. I might go to the library and try because it's quiet. If the phone rings, it's not my phone, and I won't get up and do laundry and all that stuff in between. So just spend time at the library, set aside 2 or 3 hours, try to complete, and then come home and try to make it work. But we have to have a conversation. He cannot read my mind, and I cannot read his mind. And that's a lot of times, that's what we see as a couple. Don't you know what I'm going through? No, I don't know what you're going through. You have to tell me what you're going through, you know, and use words, and use your words nicely, and don't raise that voice high, because soon as you raise your voice, it's like shooting a missile into the person's heart. The wall goes up, and then they're going to go into that defense mode.
And that wall that goes up can have a lingering effect on our relationship, because now if I let it linger, 2 hours later, a day later, my mind goes back to not the issue, but the wall that has developed. Going back to, oh, wait a minute. Just hold on for 1 second. Stand up. Notice that he's wearing a shirt that says Barons of Blue Bay. I just noticed that.
He went to Barons, you guys. I went to Central.
Central, yes.
Yeah, so you have to talk to each other. It's just a must, and a lot of times people don't. We just don't talk to each other. So this is one thing I would like for you to take away tonight.
Yeah.
When you leave here, take at least an hour and talk to your mate, and then talk about good stuff.
Yeah.
Talk about when you're mad, some of the goals you want to have, what are some of the things you want to accomplish together. And also, we have to be mindful of the situations in the home, because our situation changed quite a bit. We've been married 38 years. When I first got married, Addison, people called him a lot to speak all over. So so he spoke, and so I was home with the kids. And now it's switching, and people are asking me to speak. So now he's home. So sometimes things change. There's a time when he got laid off, and I was working. Then I got laid off, and he was working. So it's not a you I thing, it's a us thing. So if he makes $20,000 and I make $120,000, together we make $140,000 together. That's our money. That's we the us. We the team. So it's not, and I learned that when we first got married, because I remember we first got married, we was married a couple of weeks. I put something in the refrigerator. I said, where my stuff at? You said, ours. Where my things at? I said, ours. I said, oh, yeah, I am married. Ours.
So it's a matter of getting adjustments. Let me go back to the word timing. Let's say there are difficult things that need to be discussed. And to the men, there's the dreaded phrase, we need to talk. Okay? That sends tremors. Okay, now we're thinking, what is it now? Thinking of things that happened, because some sisters have very good memory. You know, because remember things that happened last week, last year, 2 years ago, the exact time and all like that. I can't remember what happened yesterday. And, you know, come up with something. How do you expect me to remember that? You know, so again, what is the good in the bad times to talk to each other? And again, I gave the example about the morning and the evening. But my wife, I appreciate the fact, Elder Lofton, that on a Sunday after church, when the red zone is on, particularly when the Dallas Cowboys are playing, okay, that may not be a good time to talk to me about deep and in-depth certain situations. Okay? And all I'm hearing is, you know, the issues that you blocking, you know, stand right there, talking to me, and I'm listening, okay, hold on. But again, what's the best timing? And again, it goes back to having a discussion.
So you had a question?
addressed that with us about you have two people that's working, the couple is working, and they both are putting in a lot of hours at work. They have a new baby. They're bringing work home. You know, the baby is like, who's going to take care of the baby because they're both overwhelmed, and who's going to cook dinner because no one is thinking about dinner until it's time to eat it. So it's causing problems in the relationship, but both of the people are career driven. No one wants to give, everything that one has to do at work is just as important as what the other one has to do at work. So how do you deal with a situation like that? They're talking about their feelings. They're trying to, work through it, but it's like it's not working because they're overwhelmed between work, the new baby, the chores. It's a lot. It's overflowing. So how do you deal with that?
Well, what I suggest is try to take at least, you have to budget your time just like you budget money or budget any other thing. And we make time to do what we want to do.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I come to the realization we should make time to do what is necessary. So when my children were small, Sunday was my meal prep for the week, right? So I would make enough baked chicken for 2 days.
Amen.
And then spaghetti, and make a lot of vegetables for the whole, and some spaghetti for 2 days, and then we might have a tuna casserole here, and you go for yourself on Saturday, right? So, and this was almost every, right? I know you probably tired of spaghetti, you big chicken. You don't eat it no more. You don't eat it no more. I'm sorry. Chicken and spaghetti, you don't eat it no more. I'm sorry, but I had to do what I had to do. So I had to do what I had to do because I had to drop one off at one school and one off at another school. So he probably has chicken. I apologize. But listen, look, he ate.
That's right.
So, and it's reasonable. So what I did, meal prep. And then we had, and then you have to discuss about who's gonna do. Because I remember when Al was a baby, you got up all 1 week. So Addison had a week, and I had a week. And sometimes the guys they sleep deep, and the baby, it's your week. It's your week, please. Yeah, so then that's what we did. So we alternate weeks. 1 week he got up with the baby, and the next week I got up with it. No matter what, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever. That's your week. So that's what we did. We did a week schedule, and that's what gives you a break because you need a break. You really need a break. And also with that woman always cooking, that's changing too. That's changing too. Yes.
So, as she was talking about people being driven with their careers and things like that, I think I learned, and one thing I will say, it was funny, last week, I worked for a company that focuses on, we were kind of voluntold to take a course, a 2-day course, and in the 2-day course, they told us, we don't care what you do for a living, we don't care what you're doing here at this company, we only care about your health, so your mental, your emotional, your spiritual, and your physical health. And that's what we focused on for those 2 days. And in those 2 days, I realized that for my husband and I, it was really important for us to prioritize us. Not just actually before the 2 days, we really realized that. And I think for now, for us, my job sends me every month somewhere globally. And even in that time that I spend sometimes 10 hours a day at work, if I know that I need to be home before he leaves for work because he works at night, I make sure I make that a priority. For me, it's not about work. For me, it's about my life with him because that's what my priority is. We make what is priority to us. I am a career-driven person. But at the end of the day, my career is not going to crawl up in the bed with me. My career is not going to be there to support me. and my career is not going to be there to take care of me in my older years in life. They didn't stand at the altar with me, and I think that when we take stock of what's important, then that ultimately is the decision maker for me, for all of us.
Before we go to Brother Tony, I think a key component, Sister Green, is what Sister Joy is saying, is priority.
Yes.
And having those shared priorities. So again, the husband and the conversation. But one person has, let's say, the 5 priorities, and the other person has the 5 priorities. So now how do we line them up so that's what's best for us and our family? And again, that's where compromise comes in. Number 2, that's where the conversation comes in to talk it through.
And I think that you should, just like a business, have business meetings. I think, and I say that in counseling sessions all the time, you should have a family meeting. It's a must that you meet. If husband and wife have a conversation 1 hour a week, you're worth it. You're investing in your marriage. This is your life. This is your life together. Talk to each other and have and it could be light. You could have light talk one week and hard talk one week. And just because a lot of times that's what goes missing. We just assume that, I don't know, assume is not good, but we just assume that people, we just assume that our mate know, or we've been together 38 years, he should know. No, we changed. I done changed a lot in 38 years, and so have we. Our minds changed. I was in corporate America for the first 20 years of our marriage. Now I'm in counseling and teaching for the last 18, 19 years. So things change. You had your hand up.
Minister.
Oh, yes. I was going to ask, would in a situation like that, would it be safe to advise someone with marriage comes sacrifice? So even if you get to a place where the 2 people are career driven, that somebody has to make a sacrifice, and it might even come to the point that you have to change careers, because if each other in your life together is priority, it might take that.
Yeah,
somebody changing a career.
That's true.
Right? But of course with communication, right?
And again, let me use an example, Minister Tony. When we were coming up as a family, I was working with people who made good money, and they were living in nice places, okay? And I took the opinion that I want to invest my money for my sons. So their education was important to me. But that was for me. Now, back in the day, my oldest son here, he was an athlete. He played basketball, baseball, and all like that. And this was when Michael Jordan was the rage. So my son and I would always have discussions in reference to sneakers, conversations regarding sneakers. How come I can't have these particular sneakers? Okay? Me being who I am, I basically said, you're not going to get those sneakers. Okay? You have 1 pair or 2 pairs. Thank God for those. Amen. All right? But also, I made a point to him that every week, every 2 weeks, when I get paid, I can afford to go to Foot Locker and buy you some new sneakers. But it's more important for me to invest that money and put that money away in reference to your future and your education. Okay, but again, it's setting the priorities. What's important? And what we have to do is be clear in what our priorities are, where we want to go. But also understand that things change as we get older. So me caring is not the right word, but me putting as much effort or the need for the upbringing of my sons is not a high priority because they're adults. They're on their own.
We the team. Bye-bye. No, I'm just playing.
That was so real.
But again, things change.
Yes. I wanted you to talk about finance. Okay. When we first got married, I wasn't good with money. I'm just gonna come clean. I was not. I was spent. My first job, it was so sweet. I got paid every Wednesday. So you know when you get a paycheck every week, you really think you rich, right? You really lose it, right? So every Wednesday I would go to work and get a paycheck. So I remember Addison was saying that it's good for us to put money to the side. Put money to the side. I was like, you put money aside for my outfit. And so one day we had a conversation, and we sat at Ivy Hill. And so we sat at the table, and he said, look, I would like to buy a house. And I had a loan from my dental when I went to school for radiology. And I had a loan, and he said, you need to pay this loan off. I was like, oh, it's deferred. I'm not paying it off. He said, this is going to come up when we get a house. And I had to pause and come out of myself and realize sometimes you have the answer standing right next to you, and we don't value the people that's in our lives. But if a minister would get up and say that, we go, oh my God. But my husband said the same thing. Or if a teacher get up and say it, but he just said, let's invest, let's put money to the side. I did it, and one of the best things I could have done was listen to him how to budget money. It is so important. I didn't think I would get old this fast, because back then we was in our 20s. We bought a house in our 20s, and I'm like, he was like, when we get in our 50s and 60s, when we retire, 60 next year. And it's so close to what I'm saying, and I'm so glad I listened. So I say to you, as a couple, value each other's opinion. Because a lot of times the answer is right in your face and you look right over it. And then you spend a whole lot of years missing out, and you say, oh, I should have listened to what that person had to say.
Amen.
Any questions? We're going to move to another area. Are there any questions, any comments, any suggestions? Okay. All right.
Thoughts, questions, concerns? What you thinking about? Not gonna share? All right. Not pushing.
Let's talk about communicating about finances. Talking to each other about finances. Okay, so I'm going to bring up some things. Well, before I do that, let me ask you, what should couples talk about in reference to money? Yes. Credit. All right. Very good. Excellent. Anybody else? What's that? Bills. Okay. Savings. Yes. Budgeting. Yes. Anything? Anybody else? Responsibilities. Excellent. Yes. Investments. Difference between investments and savings. Insurance.
That's a big one.
All right. Insurance. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So let's talk about a couple of things that you talked about. Well, you didn't bring this up, but let me bring it up. Lending money to other people. Lending money to other people. How many of you have ever been asked by family members or co-workers to lend them money? Okay? And I'm talking about good sized money. I'm not talking about $5 or whatever. Now, $10 is a lot for me, but anyhow. How did you handle it? Anybody have any? Yeah.
No. We discuss it between each other first. And once we agree that we're going to lend it, then we talk to the people we're going to lend it to. And the first thing we ask them to make sure we're going to get it back, do you need us to lend this to you? Or do you need us to give this to you?
All right.
So we can be clear.
All right.
So when they say lend it, what time frame
Okay.
are you supposed to give this back to us? And then when we agree, then we lend it out.
All right. Anybody else? Yes.
Just a suggestion. Nowadays, they do promissory notes.
Yeah, I was thinking that, yes.
Okay.
A contract, promissory note.
Anybody else?
I generally make it a rule not to lend money anymore. If I come across that situation, I'm more inclined to give it because there's more likelihood of there's being some trouble between us when I lend it to you and you don't return it or pay back when it's supposed to be. See, if I give it to you, I'm not looking for it back. You know, it's gone. Even if I want, you know, it's gone. But if you say you're gonna pay me on the first of the month and you ain't paying me on the first of the month, now we ain't friends or family no more.
Oh, and you ever had it where let's say it takes 10 months to pay it back? They pay back the first 2 months, and you can't find them after. Okay, but those who have lent money or been asked to lend money, what have been your response? Anybody else? Yes.
I asked for a business plan
You asked for a business plan.
because it was a request for a loan masked as a potential investment,
Okay.
and they didn't produce it. So
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I had a relative I loaned a lump sum of money to. I said to myself, I'm not getting this back. So I called them and said, don't worry about it. So this way they don't need to lie to me.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Money is very sensitive,
Yes, it is.
and money is important, and we do need money to survive. And don't you can tell if you go to church and you can see people very happy and shouting and jumping and glory. All right, now we're gonna raise the offering. Whoop.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
It's so quiet because money is emotional. Because of what do you think about when they raise the offering? Do I have money for next week for groceries? I mean, come on now, let's be real. Let's be open.
Amen. Amen.
Do I have enough money to pay for gas, pay for this, pay for that, pay for that? And it takes away. And, you know, some people have more than others, so we don't know. Because sometimes you look at a person and you think they don't have anything, and they could buy a whole block. Right? So you can't judge people because some people sit and, you know, I went to California one time with my girlfriend, and the guy was sitting on the front row with jeans on, his hat on backwards, and she said, you see that guy in the front row? He bought the pastor. You see that car? He bought the pastor that truck outside, and then she drove me to the plant that he owned, a factory that took up a whole 3 or 4 blocks. Unassuming, so you can't judge. And then you see people with a whole lot of bling bling on, and you know, and their hair's done all the time, and they have absolutely nothing. And most of the time, the bling bling is depressed when offering time comes. They be like, right? So so money is emotional. It takes away from, because if it wasn't, why do we get so quiet? Because we're taught like to be afraid of money. We're not taught to save. We're not taught at 3 and 4 and 5 years old how to invest in money. If you ask the average person, how do you invest in? They're like, oh, I don't know. What is an investment? Right?
Many times they look at the things they have as investment, as opposed to that these are material things. So again, we're talking about borrowing. So the suggestion is have the conversation when Junebug comes to you and asks for money. The two of you, this is the approach that we're going to take so that we are operating and working together. Yes, sir.
Now, I know scenario in the body of Christ with 2 things. One saying, another saying a lump sum of money. And it was rent time. And one folk kept avoiding him about paying his money. So he came to me and said, man, today, so-and-so give my money, I'm going to bust it right in his head. And I said, you can't do that. He said, yes, I am. I'm going to bust it right upside his head. And now these two, they brothers in Christ, but now it's tension between the both of them behind money.
Yeah.
And I had to talk to
are we involved? Like, if I owe Novella, if I owe you money, and every Sunday I see you throwing shade like you don't want to talk to me, it's my job to come and have a conversation with you and tell you, like, look, you know, we agreed to have the money by November the 30th. And is there a problem? And confront people gently. There's nothing wrong with confronting people. We are afraid to do confrontation. Gently conversation, not, no, yo, what's my money? What's up? Where am I? No, like that, but, you know, let's have a conversation. And Bishop and the elders and the church leaders do not need to be involved in it, because they wasn't involved in it when we exchanged out. So they don't need to be involved. It needs to be, because that's what's called being a grown-up and having a conversation. It's communication.
And then also, we that in the body of Christ should have integrity. Okay, and do what's right. Elder Roscoe, then we're going to move to something else.
Mostly, too, when you loaning money, it's the people you know, and you got to examine their history with money, because I'm not going to ask you for $10,000 and I don't know you, right, for my house or for whatever the reason is. So there must be some type of history or relationship for you to ask me or for me to ask you. So the first thing I'm going to say to myself is, well, how is Elder Hardy with his money? You know?
So you good. I wouldn't even go that far. I'll just say no. No.
And again, the point is that we have an agreement.
Right.
So that, because what has happened many times is one person in the relationship took money and lent it to somebody else, but the other person doesn't know about it. And that creates a friction and a problem within the relationship. So we need to say up front, this is something we're going to talk about what we're going to do. Let me move on. Minister Tony, you had to, okay. Another point in reference to communicating.
You want to, go ahead.
No, I was just getting ready to say to what Elder was said, that's what me and my wife do. And we already have an agreement. You know, with the accounts we have, I have, you know, my own person, she has hers. And we have what we have for the house and bills and so forth. So if somebody wants to come to me and say, you know, Tony, you loan me $25, $30, whatever. And if I got it in my account to cover it, we always communicate. But I know it's to my discretion whether I want to loan.
That's good. And that works for you.
Right, exactly.
And that's what we need to all remember. Everybody in this room that's in a relationship, it's your relationship.
Right.
We all are different. Whether we work 20 hours a day or whether we work part-time, we all are different. And we have to respect that. So as a couple, you have to be real mindful for allowing other people to advise you in your marriage, especially single people. Because sometimes single people will tell you, oh, girl, you going through that? I wouldn't take that. They're right. They wouldn't take it because they're single. They are absolutely right. So we have to be mindful who speak into our environment. We got to be mindful who speak into our lives, because you have to look at the person and say, okay, all right, you're not married, so I respect you, and I'm not, you know, your opinion might be really good, but you're not in my situation.
You know, and just as an aside, I remember, as Cheryl said, when I was younger, I preached out quite often, and even before we were married. And I would, you know, be the talk about marriage, relationships, and children and all like that. And I wasn't married, didn't have any children, but I was going based upon, one, I hear other preachers saying, or what I saw in the Word. Then I got married, and I had children. And now I'm saying to myself, did I really say some of those things that I was saying before? Okay. Minister Page also brought up about he has an account, she has an account. Again, that's a conversation. Okay? Now, again, what works for you? You can have it where there's one account where that account is going to take care of the bills. Both of us are going to feed into that account. Again, it's a conversation. Or you can have two accounts at the discretion of the individual, and some people break it up and say, okay, you pay for the mortgage, you pay for the car note, et cetera, et cetera. I knew of a situation where the husband and wife was kind of shaky in the relationship. They probably were shady also. But anyhow, what they did was, in terms of the rent, let's say the rent was $1,000. So the wife would pay the landlord $500, and the husband would pay the landlord $500. So the landlord basically wasn't getting it from one person. And if the husband didn't pay, he would be out $500, while the other person, and again, that kind of caused some type of conflict and friction. But again, talk in reference to how we're going to set up. Who is going to be responsible? Now, one person may be the more responsible when it comes to finances. So maybe you want to let that person handle the finances. But the person who's handling the finances should communicate to the other partner that this is what we're doing. What are your suggestions? How is it going to be done? Now, let me make a suggestion. If you have two different accounts and you have discretionary fund, you have extra money, and each one of us have our different tastes, different things that we want, it is suggested that you have an agreement on the limits of what you would spend without going to the other partner. So let's say on a monthly basis, I will not spend in my account with my funds, with the money that I generate, I'm not going to spend more than $250 without talking to Cheryl about it first. Whatever the limits are. Again, that's just a suggestion for you to look at. Elder talked about having a budget. Okay? It's important that you do not spend more than what you take in. Okay? You don't want to spend more than what you take in. Sister Kamari talked about what are the credit scores. What are your credit scores? Yes.
I remember one time I had premarital counseling, and our first week we talk about love, how you met, and different things like that. Second week we talk about health. I would ask them to go to the doctor together, get your blood test together, so you can know how you're doing as far as health-wise. And the third week, we talk about finances, so I had them to bring in their credit score. And one person was very surprised at the other person's credit score, and she was very shocked. And so they were really gung-ho about getting married that December, and we was counseling around, that was that September. They put the wedding off for a whole year until his credit score came up. Amen. I thought that was such a great idea. His credit score was real low. She had a house. He was back and forth with jobs. But the goal for them was for him to get a steady job and for them to both save and for him to build his score up. And so when they get married, because sometimes you're into getting married, but then when you get married and his credit score is 500, 400, and hers is 825. That's a problem right there. That's a problem. So I respect them. I didn't, of course, counseling, I don't tell you what to do. I just give you some suggestions. But that was good and wise. And then what they did was he did very well, built his score up. And instead of him moving into her house, they sold the house and they bought a house together. Right? So I thought that was a good idea because they just need to just start it clean. Just cut off all that old stuff and don't bring in, because it becomes challenging, right? And it worked out real well. So credit score means a lot.
Amen. Question. I guess if I can play the opposition. You said that was great. So
for them.
Right. Oh, okay.
That was great for them because I always say if I can have two couples coming in, and what works for one might not work for the other. So it's all counseling is custom made. It's custom made. So it's more to the story, but that story, that's how their story ends. But it depends on the situation. We all are different. We all are different. So,
but you know what? And to that point, though, I think it was the reason I feel like that was a wise decision is because if one person has their mind set on something, goals for their life, for example, why would I think at the end of the day, for a marriage, it's really important to be there to support the other person.
Exactly.
But in order to support that person, you can't support them feeling like you're towing the line in the process. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
very
I think
difficult.
it's going to put a serious strain on your relationship.
It does. And then we smooth over it as if nothing is happening. And then when the behavior, what we talked about,
Exactly.
the activating
Comes up
event
later.
and the
Right.
behavior and the consequences, when the behavior start getting out of whack, and we start talking about the dishes in the house, but it's the fact that you came in
With
with
a
a
400
400
credit score, and that's the real
they-
reason.
Right. And so sometimes people don't want to wait. And, because they want to have sex, they want to do whatever.
Legalize sex,
And then,
that's
so, you fall in lust before you fall in love, and then you all broke together. So it's good to do things in order for you.
In order for you.
In order for you.
In order for you. That's
Everybody's
right.
order is different, and I totally
true.
get it.
That's
I totally get it.
true.
And so we have to be mindful of that. So I always suggest when a person get ready to get married, go to premarital counseling for a period of time and get to learn each other with a third party there. And as you get to learn each other with a third party, they help you, they support you, and they just give you some ideas. And I mean, you can do. The choice is yours, but it's just a good thing.
Another discussion you should have is in terms of your feelings about debt. Your feelings about debt. Fortunately, Cheryl and I are on the same page. We came in to a certain degree on the same page that we didn't want to be burdened down with debt. We want to try to pay for things in cash as much as possible. We try to pay off our credit cards month to month so that we're not overladen with debt. For us, debt is not a good thing, okay? But let's say you have two opposing opinions, where one person says debt is not a good thing, while the other person is saying it's no big deal. So what? I could care less if I'm always maxed out on my credit cards or whatever. And what has happened is, let's say one person says, I want to have a big party because my birthday is coming up, and I want it to be the thing, and it's going to cost $3,000 to have this party. While the other person is saying, wait a minute, whoa, we're at a strain here, and you never know what's going to happen. So again, what's your opinion? What's your direction? What's your goal in reference to debt? My suggestion would be to eliminate debt as much as possible. Okay, that's my opinion.
And don't bring in that mentality, that poor man mentality. What's the saying that people always, you're not going to always, I'm going to spend it because you ain't going to take it with you. We know that. We know that, but come on now. We have to move past that. We know you're not going to take it with you, but you can invest it and leave it to you. If you have children, or leave it. But, I mean, it's a way that you want to have it to the point where you can, if somebody said, Addison, let's go on a trip together. We're going to go fly to Florida. And we could just shoot, debit, and go, right? No credit. And go. So you want to, what is called financial freedom. You want to have financial freedom. And that's what we need to learn how to do. And you can do it with, when you have a team, if one single, people that's single, say you're single and you make $30,000 a year. You're doing everything in that household with $30,000. But if you're married and he make 30 and she make 30, you have 60,000 in that house. So you're doing a little bit more, right? So that's how you have to think that when it's two people, it's a little bit more. And if it's one person working, just I always say in class, stress that dollar to the holler. But to stress the dollar as far as you can do and save. And save is very important. And save for you, yes.
You said not to eliminate debt altogether because you have your rent and you have the necessary things you need to keep.
Yeah, that's the regular.
On the cable,
Yeah, mortgage.
But the other stuff like the charge card, eliminate those
As much as possible. Again, though, one of the things about budgeting is you need to see and know and understand how much money you're taking in. Because again, you don't want to spend more than what you make. That puts you into a debt situation. And again, if you look at the interest rates on money that you owe, interest rates could be up to 20, 25% a year. That could be a lot of money. If you look at the money that interest that can be earned, that's less than 1%. Banks are making it out like a bandit. But again, you want to have more for yourself. One of the issues that we have in our country right now, you hear them talk about the debt ceiling and the interest that's being paid on entitlements and all. Well, what the government does is they borrow money. And when they borrow money, they have to pay interest. And the money that's being borrowed is being paid back by the taxes that we pay out. So if you reduce the interest that you have to pay, you can do more with your money. An advisor gave me word of advice. And again, this as I got older, he shared with me, you don't want to outlive your money.
Wow.
Let me repeat that. You don't want to outlive your money. So when I was younger, let's say in my 20s, and let's say I spent everything I had, keep coming up, and now here I am posted into my 70s, and I don't have any 401k. Forget about pensions. Social Security is only going to be but so much money. I don't have a Roth IRA, none of those things. So now what do? Do I depend on my son? Both of my sons? Well, they have their own lives, okay? Or do I go and have to work at McDonald's at the age of 75? Okay? Because I outlived my money. So now we have to take the bull by the horn and say, what can I do to repair the situation that I am in? Yes. Let me just lay two other things. Emergency funds. Emergency funds. It's suggested that you have at least 3 months of savings put away to cover your major necessary costs. Work towards having an emergency fund. Then, last but not least, a suggestion is having a discussion between what are needs and wants. What are needs and wants. And sometimes we can disagree on what is a need and what is a want. Those things have to be identified.
Amen.
Any questions? Any questions?
Savings,
For an emergency fund.
$50,
No. You want to save up to have in your savings account.
3 months of what? That's what she said.
Okay, I got you. All right, so let's say your living expenses, 3 months of your living expenses.
So you should be able to pay your mortgage for 3 months. You should be able to pay all your bills for 3 months. Have enough for at least, that's to the least, 3 months.
Sorry
Because
if I
usually in
wasn't
3
clear.
months, you can find something else. You can find another job, or you can find, income will come from. You'll figure it out.
Listen,
Does that make sense?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
yeah, sorry for not being clear.
In my circumstance, what I did was my mortgage insurance, I pay a higher premium just in case I don't work for 6 or 7 months or so, and it's covered. You know, like generally I would be paying $600 a year, whatever it may be. You know, instead I'm paying $1,000. So in case I don't work, I have 6 months where I don't have to worry about the mortgage. PSC&G still got to worry about, but mortgage I don't have to worry about. So people can do something like that.
Right.
So I just want to make another quick point. You always hear this cliche, I don't know if it's a cliche or it's a statement, that marriage is hard work. Oh my God, marriage is hard work. I stand here to share with you Marriage is not hard work.
Exactly. It's not.
Marriage is not hard work. It's really not. Marriage is good work.
It is.
It's all, you got to change your thinking now.
Fun.
All right? We talk about cognitive behavior. You got to change your thinking. You have to, sometimes you have to get out of yourself and think about what the other person is going through. Right? So marriage is good work. But we're all different. So you don't give up on your children. Okay, my child is not doing the right thing or whatever, so I'm going to divorce my child. Come on now, really? You deal with that situation because that's your child and you invest in that child. In your marriage, you want to invest in it, and it's good work. Even when you're in the valley, learn how to love your mate in the valley, right? Give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to be perfectly imperfect. We gonna fall. It's a lot of things I did wrong. It's a lot of things I said wrong. But I had a conversation, and I learned how to apologize. I learned how to ask for forgiveness. I learned how to say, you know what? That's just so happening. I was wrong, and I apologize. I learned how to say nice things to him. You look, when he go downstairs and he's getting dressed and he run downstairs, and I was like, you look nice today. You look very handsome. I don't need the lady at the job telling him you look good. I'm going to tell you, you look good. You look good. Right? Right? And you get a haircut. I like your haircut. That's good. Right? Right? So I learned how to give compliments. And he does the same to me. Oh, you wearing all the same. You got on all black today. You got on blue today. You got on pink today. I'd rather hear from him than the man down the street. And then it's too many emotional affairs going on. It's at the church. Falling in love secretly with the deacon and all that, and the preacher and the pastor. Oh, I wish I was with him. No, you don't. You wish you was with the team. Because the pastor is not going to come, and when you have surgery, going to go bathe you. Right? No, your husband is going to be bathing you when you're down at that low. Come on now. And we have to think like that. We have to think that. We have to go below the surface and think for real. This is not just my boyfriend. This is my husband, and this is my wife. And I love them, and I'm going to talk to them like human beings. He's the head of my house. So, you know, when people say to Allison, oh, hey, Pastor Hardy. I said, he don't have no church. And I said, yes, he do at 2270. He the pastor. I'm the first lady. And then the children are the choir. And the grandchildren, let's have church. We have church right there.
That reminds me, I need to take an offering. But last thing, piggyback on what you're saying. It's good work. But it's important that we recognize it's work. It's work. It may not be all the high emotional highs, but it's good and it's important work.
Yes.
The relationship that I have with my wife, I consider my wife to be the best wife in the world, the best woman in the world. And I shouldn't be saying that about anybody else. Okay? In your relationship, all right? Sister Rhonda should be the best in your life. Okay? Sister Judy, Brother James, is the best wife for you. I don't know your name. Charlene. Sister Charlene is the best wife over, whether it's in Patterson or here in Irvington, all right? Sister Joanne is the best wife. What's your name, my sister? Novella. My brother, what's your name? William? Yes. Best wife. Best young lady. The best. Sister Kamari is the best wife. Sister Joanne to Brother Corey is the best wife. Brother Willie? White. Brother White. Sister White. Sister White is the best wife. Joy is the best wife. Sister Aunt Cheryl is the best wife. Okay? The best. We may need some work. We may need to help each other.
And don't measure somebody else's relationship with yours. Because you don't know what, I can tell you as a counselor, you don't know what. Do not measure, oh, I wish I was like Brother Sister Green. Brother Green could be knocking her side the wall so she can. Nah, I know you don't know. You really don't know. So I made it a conscious decision. I don't want to be like anybody else. And I love what God has made me to be. So don't measure your marriage against anybody. Oh, I wish I was like the Flemings. I wish I was like Joy. Huh? No. Work on yourself. My grandmother used to say, you have 6 months to mind your business and 6 months to leave others alone. And it's a year every time. So if you eat right, exercise, take your vitamins, take care of yourself, take care of your spouse, do your deal with your children, you don't have no time. You have 0 time to worry about somebody else's marriage. Work on your own. Do you. Enjoy you.
For those of you here who is not with your spouse, I would encourage you to talk to them. Listen to them. Hear what they have to say. Let them hear what you have to say. Sister Susanna, thank you for coming out here, being here with us. Sister Deb Adams, thank you for being here with us. Sister Robertson, thank you for being here. Sister Onisha, you're the best wife for Brother Tony. All right. Amen. Who that was? Sister Deb, you're the best wife for Brother Kevin. The best. And we thank God for you. Let us stand.
So homework, wait a minute, homework.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, homework. Next time you come. All right. So some of you might already have done this, but when you come back next week, the 20th, October the 20th, and it's just something brief, please print out your love language and share it with us. All right? So it's your 5 love language, the couple profile. You can go on the computer. It's free. And you go to 5lovelanguage.com. And just answer those 10, 15 questions. It's about 15 questions. And you both, and both of you, you do it separately, and then you bring it in together, and let's just talk about it. Is that all right? All right?
Say the website.
So it's 5lovelanguage.com. The number 5. All right? Not F-I-V. But the number 5, lovelanguage.com. And it will tell you, what's your number, your score for words of affirmation. How do you score with your husband? Or what do you want? What is your need? Word of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, physical touch, or receiving gifts. Mine is the high words of affirmation. All right?
As we dismiss, let's talk real quickly, because when I looked at that and talked about touch, but we talked about things that brings to the table. Talk very quickly about what you bought from your family, because
That's going to be long.
okay, so next time. I apologize.
Can I ask a question that you could probably ask later? I want to know, why did you get married? Why did you want to marry him, and why did you want to marry her?
Good
and that's
question.
to everybody as to why.
Oh. I'm on. Okay. Why did I want to marry this guy here?
Yes.
Look at all the ears.
And that's not just to
Okay,
say,
so
that's not just to put you on the spot. It's more or less to ask, why did you want to marry him? Why did he want to marry you?
why did you get married? I got married because I felt as though that I can have a good life with Addison when I met him, he was one of the kindest guys I ever met. I was with, I had other friends, but it's something that he was just different. He was kind. And so I wanted to, so when we started to talk, well, at first I didn't like him, but we all go through that. Like, but then I was like, this guy is nice. And I married him because he was a big N-I-C-E. I have not heard him raise his voice in 40 years, unless he was the kid. He got that. And so just to go back on that, all right, let me move up. So I had a friend that I was talking to, and you know how back in the 70s people was into the light skin, good hair, so he was trying to talk to me. So I thought I was gonna like that, but I knew that it was all lust, because he just wanted to, So I said, nope, that's not for me. Then another guy that was talking to me, and then, okay, let's stop right there. Then fast forward, that person that was all the football player, the good looking, whatever, he was at Goodwill. I said, oh my Lord, if I had got with that, I would have been homeless. That's number one. Okay. Then number two, it was this guy that talked to me. No, it gets better. Listen, I'm leaving being open because I want y'all to be free. Okay, number two. So this other guy, we talked about on the phone or whatever, and so fast forward with him. One day, and we was going to Nova Scotia on a cruise, and we walking through Penn Station. We were married. We were walking through Penn Station, and I said, and he was homeless too. I said, Lord have mercy. If I had been with that person and that person, I would have been double homeless. I would have been, if I had a pick. But God knows who to. And so what I'm saying is, it's something inside of you saying, this is not right. If it's not right, this is not right. But I felt like this was right. And to this day, this man is so polite. Some people are rude at home. They don't say, excuse me, thank you. He will walk past you in the bedroom and say, excuse me, thank you, you okay? Yes. I'm like, this man, after 40 years, and my parents, they really loved him. My mother was like, he's still open. My mother's 87, she looked out the window, he still opened the door for you. Oh, Lord, I wish your father used to do that, So those are the things that sold me his kindness. So that's why I connected with him, because all that young stuff and thinking this and thinking that, this attitude and personality zoom right past that.
That's why he got your twin. There you go.
So, in terms of answering your question, Shirley, it is true, like she said, she didn't like me at first. And some of you have heard this testimony before. We went to Miracle Temple, which was on High and West Kennedy Street. She lived in Hayes Homes, which was up the street. And I used to go after church to her house, and her mother in the project, Hayes Home, and every Sunday, her mother had fried chicken, collard greens, macaroni and cheese, cornbread, and apple pie or sweet potato pie.
I think he thought he was getting that, y'all.
And I would, and even the times when it was clear that she didn't like me, I still was going up there. Anyhow, no, but what I liked about her, one was her smile. I knew Cheryl's family. before I knew her. When I said her extended family. Sister Tia's family, the Hicks family, the Cubes, the Pattersons from Miracle Temple. We were all in church together. Then when I was in college, her Aunt Glenda introduced me to Cheryl. And what attracted me to her was her smile, number one. But also, she seemed to be a settled person. She wasn't silly. And again, knowing her mother and her father, because again, I saw the pattern that was there, how sensible they were. They weren't flighty. They seemed to be responsible people. So I saw that in Cheryl. I appreciate all of those qualities in her, even right now. So again, another conversation to refresh with yourselves, why did we get married? Thank you, Sister Cheryl.
So was her smile that attracted you?
Yes, that's what he said.
That's right.
Did you
on
hear
Cheryl.
that?
That's right on Cheryl.
It wasn't anything else but her smile.
That's right on Cheryl. That's right, Mommy.
That's what I wanted. What made you married? But I also wanted to know what was the attraction. What was it that you? No, seriously, you looked at her and just saw a smile.
Conversation.
No.
Let us stand.
Okay.
So that's going to be the question to you
Y'all
guys.
drove that at another time.
Where's the Elder Lofty? Elder Lofty? Where is Elder Lofty? Come on up, Elder Lofty. Again, thank you for being a part of this fellowship. I hope you received something out of this conversation. I hope it helped you, give you something to think about, give you something to take with you. We talked again, our primary focus was on communication. Next time around, we're going to talk about some other things to help you to grow, to help you develop, to help you to move on. If you're with your spouse, I'm going to ask that you put your arms around them, connect with them, hug them, however you do whatever you do. Okay, don't forget there's children in there. But, Father, we thank you for the people of God who are here. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your love. And thank you for the love that's in this room. Let love continue. Let love grow. Help us to grow in you, with each other. Let our love for each other, our being responsible for each other grow. Help us to be affectionate with each other. Help us to like each other even the more. If we have financial issues, Father, we're depending upon you to help us to get through it. If we have other issues, we ask that you would abide with us. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.